Hello everybody, and welcome to another Fundamental Games game playthrough. Today we're doing a Kickstarter preview for an expansion to a game called Squire for Hire. This expansion is called Mystic Runes. It's core set number 2. So this can be played individually, or it can be played combined with the original Squire for Hire. This is by John Merchant, and it's being created by Letterman Games. And I had the pleasure of speaking to them in a podcast not too long ago, which will actually be airing probably on Thursday, early April. So excited to share that with you. Now, I've already done a playthrough with the original Squire for Hire, and so I just wanted to do one specifically about Mystic Ruins. So Mystic Ruins features 4 new playable squires, and what you do with these squires is you're trying to just kind of gather up all the equipment that the hero would be using and be able to provide it to them when they need it so that they can save the day. So I get to pick one of these squires to start the game, and we'll just quickly go through it. You can see all of the cards are right here in this tabletop simulator, but they're also all in this deck here. So you're going to see every card as we go through. So I'm going to play with Gruffle. I mean, there's 4 cool characters plus the original 5 characters, but we're going to go with Gruffle. I like the way Gruffle looks. So each character has a special ability. Gruffle, for example, already has 1 armor as kind of considered part of his equipment, and certain cards affect you if you have armor. Crystals are worth an extra point when next to any armor, so that's good to remember. And if I have a hood and a wrist guard, it looks like, I'll get 1 extra point. And if I have any rune combined with a cloak, I'll get 2 extra points. So that'll be important to remember for the game ending. Now, I'm just playing a solo game, so solo game's pretty straightforward. What I do is I take this 14 card deck. Remember, this is just a micro game. It only consists of 18 cards, 4 cards for the squires and 14 cards for the deck. They are double-sided, and each card has its own specific things on it. So I'm going to shuffle up this deck here, and what I'm going to do is, the way I start the game is each player would be dealt 2 2 cards face up on the table, and they get to pick one of those and pass the other one to another player. But because I'm playing single player, I keep them both, but I have to layer one on top of another. And the way the rules state, which I love the way these are just in a tuck box, but the way that rules state is I have to have the second card cover up a non-junk item. So I'm going to have 1 card and a second card cover up a non-junk item, keeping in mind that certain cards will earn me points, and if I have similar items adjacent to one another that aren't junk, I can earn extra points as well. So I get 2 points if I have a rune next to a cloak, so I definitely want to keep that cloak, and I get points if I have that wristband next to a hood, but you get points for all other kinds of things in this game. So I'm going to start my game off like this and like this. So there we go. That's how I start my game. And then what I do from there is I take the top 2 cards from this adventure deck or squire deck, I'll flip them over, and the card that's left in the middle is what I'm encountering. So there's going to be 10 different ways that I have to interact with the game based on the backs of these cards. And the cards that I don't deal with the backs of, that just adds variation to future games. So right now, I am going to a dungeon. My party ventures into an ancient stone castle in search of loot, but they're greeted by a barrage of magical traps instead. Alright, so how do I defeat that? Well, I have to support my hero by providing them with the gear that they need. So I either have to have 3 points worth of armor already in play, and armor is depicted by something outlined in blue. So if you look at this, a cloak is blue, and this wrist guard is blue, but I don't have anything else, so I don't meet that criteria. Except Gruffle has natural armor, so he already has +1, so I actually do have 3, so I've already met the requirements. If I did not have that, I'd have to cover up 1 magical item in order to accomplish that quest. So I would have had to cover up that staff or that wand. But thankfully, due to Gruffle's tough skin, he's able to support his hero, and I'm able to accomplish this. So what I have to do is because I've defeated that, I acquire one of these 2 cards, and then I'm going to flip over this dungeon. So what do I want to acquire? Well, Mystic Runes is the name of the game. Mystic Runes are these shardy things that glow right here, and then there's a crystal. So I get points for any rune combined with a cloak. And crystals are worth 1 point when next to armor. And it just so happens that a cloak is armor. So how might I do this? I might want to take this and get this mystic rune somehow next to my cloak. But I might not be able to do it as well as I would like to. So I could try to save that for when I'm better positioned. And maybe for now, I'm going to rotate this one. And I believe that's just a magic item, but I will put that there, and then maybe later on I'll be able to put something next to my cloak. Now the key to covering things up is I have to be able to get the entire item onto a prior stacked card. So I have to place at least one of the items, and then the rest just kind of appear in my bag. It's a really magical bag that I have. I'm a super Squire. Alright, so there we go, I played that. So what I do is I take this, flip it over to the missing spot, and now I'm going on a quest. My party has been hired by the Mainland Museum to bring back rare magical artifacts or valuable treasures for their collection. So what do I do here? Well, I have to have 4 magic item points or magic item squares covered up, or 4 treasure item squares covered up. If I don't have one of those 2 things, I can't accomplish this quest. So for magic, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tiles covered up, so I definitely meet that criteria. I don't have any treasure, but thankfully I don't have to do both. That slash in the middle means that I only have to do one or the other. So that means I can accomplish this, so I can acquire something. And now, maybe I can figure out a way to make this work. I have to cover up a non-junk item, so I have to somehow get this onto my board. That's just a magical item, and you can't partially cover up items because then you're breaking the rules. I might have done that the last time I played the game. So maybe I'm not going to get much next to that cloak right now, but I could do this, and what that's going to do is it's got 2 like items beside each other, so that's going to get me a couple extra points at the end of the game. Alright, so that's how I'm going to play that. So I'm finished this quest, flip it over. Now there's an encounter. A path full of jagged and rocky obstacles lies ahead. You can turn back, or you can take your chances with armor to advance through the dangerous rocks and ice. So in this case, I can't use armor that I already have. I actually have to lose an entire armor piece to make my way through this dangerous land. So thankfully I've got armor all over the place. And I will cover a piece of armor up. And how would we... So what I could do is I could take this, rotate it, and have this wand cover up that armor, thereby putting that wand next to that wand. So I think that's a pretty good deal. I'm going to have to lock this to be able to play that, I think. Oh, whoops. There we go. Had some gravitational problems there. So there we go, we put that next to that. So now wand next to wand, no problem there, completely covered it up. And so that encounter is defeated. We have 7 cards remaining. My party prepares for a deadly quest to drive out an invading mountain dragon. Sounds dangerous. You'll need to bring as many weapons or armor as you can muster. So I have to have either 4 weapons or 4 armor to be able to get through this. Now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, yeah, I definitely have enough weapon. And even if I needed 4 armor, I do have it. So I believe I meet the criteria for that. So, what are we going to do now? Crystals are worth 1 point when next to armor. So I could just go put this crystal next to that armor, and that's worth an extra point there. Or Mystic Ruins are worth 2 points when next to cloaks. So I really wanted to get that happening, but it doesn't look like it's kind of in my favor right now. I can't cover it up like that, and the other way doesn't really work, so let's just do that. Will work for me. Just a crystal going on there. Try to spread out my bag as much as possible so I get more points in the end game. Alright, now your weapons are rusty and worn. Sunder, a nearby blacksmith, will repair them for a cost. So if I have 2 treasure laid out, it actually doesn't cost me anything. So I've got 1 treasure, and that is my only treasure, so I cannot survive with a treasure. Now, Mystic Ruins, do they provide any special ability there? Let's see. Mystic Ruins have a special card function here. The void rune cannot be covered by any items or loot cards. The morph rune can take shape of one item at the end of the game. And the hide rune allows you to place new loot cards under existing cards. So I have to remember that when I'm using these loots. So this particular one, that's the morph rune. It can take the shape of any item at the end of the game, so I'll have to remember that. And I don't think I had another mystic rune that I covered up, so don't want to be breaking any rules there. Nope, we're good. So I've only had the one. Oh, I have a mystic rune there. So that mystic rune says I can place new loot cards underneath existing cards in my bag, but not in between. The top card must follow normal item placement. So I can slide a card underneath this card because of that mystic rune. Good to know. Alright, back where I was. Do I have 2 treasure? No, because it doesn't take the role of a treasure now, so I would have to cover up a weapon in order to accomplish this. I think I can manage that. Just looking at the endgame scoring, +1 for each of those, +1 for each pair of identical items, and plus XP for adjacent items and alternate junk shown on your Squire card. So I haven't found a hood yet, and I don't have one on there, but I do have that crystal that can be anything at the end of the game except another rune. So I could treat that as a hood, or I can put the rune next to my cloak if I can make that work. Alright, I still can't get that rune next to my cloak, but the rune could be a cloak. And crystals are worth 1 point. Oh yeah, and I have to cover up a weapon. Let's not forget that. So I'm going to cover up a weapon. I'm going to try to be safe and have another weapon available in case we get another weapon encounter. There we go, it's placed. Now we have a quest. The cold of the mountains chills you to the bone. Wear some extra gear or burn a magic item to stay warm. So do I have 2 armor? Absolutely. I've got a couple cloaks keeping me warm. That doesn't even bother me at all. I don't have to worry about magic. But I have a hood here, and if I have a hood next to that, I would gain points. But I can't just use junk for that. Bah. It's not going to make enough point difference to make it worthwhile. That does have a magic rune, which is the void rune. The void rune cannot be covered by any items or loot cards. Adjacent junk items are worth 0 points. So if I do the void next to a junk item, it renders it useless. Good to know. So I could just kind of space out my cards, put the void rune there, which will negate that junk. So it saves me a point at the end of the game. Another quest. Spirits plague the local mountain village of Halfwind. Cast a powerful spell, or leave an offering to lay them to rest. So I have plenty of wands and special items that can cast a spell, so I have no worries about defeating this quest. So I will take this loot. Look at that mighty treasure. I like that. Is there anywhere I can place it? I can put the hood next to the hood. So we can go there. I like that. Good. Next, we're back in the dungeon. You encounter a group of monks taking shelter in an ancient temple from the blizzard outside. Offer them some armor, or cast a spell to calm the winds outside. So 3 magic or lose an armor. I've got plenty of magic. I am 1 magical gruffle to support my hero. So I will accomplish that. So what am I going to do? Well... got another wand there, but I can't get that right into position. That's another void rune. No, that's another copycat rune. No, that's a void rune. So I could try to get that void rune next to some junk again. Could do that, cover up the weapon. Or just cover up the junk completely. I could do that. Or... if I can do that, see, crystal and that. So now I have a hood adjacent to my thingy. That's worth a point at the end of the game. Unless I wanted to get the rune adjacent to that for more points. Yeah, so if I do this, I'll cover up an armor. Let's do that just for kicks. I don't think I gain many more points than I would have the other way, but just playing around with my Gruffle ability. Now there's an encounter. You find an elderly seer who can tell your fortune. However, to activate their powers of foresight, they must draw power from one of your magical items. Okay. So no matter what, I have to lose a magical item. That's okay. I've got a few of those to spare. The question is, do I have one that's accessible? And the answer is not really. Maybe this one. So I'm going to have to really figure out what to do there. I guess we can do this. I have to cover up a magic item. So if I cover that magic item, I'm also going to lose a treasure, but I'm gaining more treasure, so we'll take that. Now I could shift up this way, and then I've got a rune next to a cloak. So let's do that. That's worth more points. Alright. Back to the dungeon. A dangerous lich awakens while you attempt to loot their crypt. Try to defeat the powerful being or survive long enough to escape. So I have to help my hero. I can give them weapons that I might already have if we have enough weapons, or lose an armor. Well, plenty of weapons. There's 2 tiles. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tiles worth of weapons. I only need 3 tiles worth of weapons, so that is accomplished. So we could take this golden kitty cat again. We've got another mystic rune here. Can't get the whole cat on. Can't do that. I guess I only need to get 1 there. Could cover that up. No. The blue one just lets you hide stuff underneath, but would hiding anything underneath really help me? Probably not at this point. So I think we're just going to play that 1 crystal there and just maximize this particular card because it's got lots of stuff on it. Alright, so that's the end of the game. I've accomplished all of those things. You don't use the last 2 cards, so they go to the wayside. And now we figure out how good of a squire was I for my lovely hero. Was Gruffle smart enough to succeed? Let's find out. So first off, if you take a look at the rules here, scoring, you get 1 point for every weapon, armor, magic, valuable, potion, or rune placed anywhere in your bag. So we're just going to do the singles first, and I'll go in sequence. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32 if I counted correctly. That's a lot of points. Now keep in mind I did not count any junk as points because junk is not worth points. Junk is a negative point. Unless I have the void stone next to that junk. So let's do a negative subtraction of all junk unless it's voided out. So do we have any junk? There's a 1. So I lose 1, lose 2, lose 3, lose 4. That's a void. Lose 5. I lose 5 points to junk if I'm... No, that's a morph. 6. I lose 6 points to junk. I don't have any next to a void. So 1... Oops, I had 32. Minus 6 is 26. So now I'm at 26 points. That's a good number. And now I get to add my other points. So you also get points for identical items, plus 1 point for each pair. So I don't get plus 1 for each of those items, just plus 1 for a pair. So there's a pair there, so that's 1 point. A pair there, that's 2 points. A pair there, that's 3 points. A pair there, that's 4 points. I have scored 4 points thanks to pairs. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. And then I can score XP for adjacent items and alternate junk scoring showing on your card. So for my Gruffle, I will get a point extra for every hood that is next to a wrist. So no hood there, nothing there, so I don't get any points for that. But I also get points for having any rune next to my cloak. So, and that's for 2 points. So I get 2 points for that and 2 points for that, so 4 points. And then the last thing I want to double check is my morph rune. Do I have morph runes next to anything that could have added as a pair? Well, I have a morph rune next to a cloak, so I could have treated the morph rune as a cloak or as a rune. I chose to treat it as a rune because it actually makes my cloak worth an extra point. But this morph stone I could actually treat as a crystal. So if I treat my morph stone as a crystal, it can be scored as an item or a rune, so I can score it as 1 point for the crystal itself, which I already did because I counted runes as points, and then I gain 1 point for the pair. Alright, so hopefully that wasn't too complicated, but our Sir Gruffle here has managed to score 35 points. So way to go, Gruffle. We appreciate your support in our quest to go through dungeons and mountains and just help save the world with the support of a hero. And there you have it. That is Squire for Hire Mystic Runes. Plays fairly quickly. I think that took 20 minutes or less. Again, just 14 cards, but where you put each of your cards matters. I mean, every single card you place will have an effect on the future state of your game. Being able to use the runes to their best advantage, whether they duplicate cards or void out junk or help you hide cards under cards that are already played, which was not a feature in the original game, are all very interesting twists that they've added to Squire for Hire. And just like the first game, they've used the same kind of teenage anthropomorphic fantasy art, and so the background's just simple to look at, easy on the eyes. The icons fairly easy to read on these big cards. The colors, once you get used to them, they stand out on the cards as well. The reds for weapons, the blues for armor, the purples for magic, really easy to figure out and how they relate. And the abilities, so just it makes your game a bit of a variety when you play with different squires and get to see the different cards and how they interact. So I just like this as a really quick lay it on the table game with 18 cards, easy to travel, easy to play at a dinner or wherever it is you're going, and it's really easy to teach somebody that's new to hobby gaming. And this could even be a fun kind of RPG side thing. You know, you're waiting for your other RPG gamers to show up, and you just want to play a quick fantasy game with a buddy. Whip out some Squire for Hire and have some fun with this little fantasy world. So, thanks John Merchant for creating a sequel to Squire for Hire, and Dan Let's Ring from Letterman Games for helping him bring it to life. It's going to be live on Kickstarter March 31st, 2020, and probably be on for anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks, so you'll have plenty of time to get your hands on it. And with it just being a card game, the price point is really reasonable. I mean, you get a lot of bang for your buck out of this game. So just wanted to share that. Love the game and loved it so much that I volunteered to create this tabletop simulator version just so I could give it a try. And definitely check out the podcast on Kickstarter Journeys as well with Dan Let's Ring, and he can tell you all about how this came to life and what they hope to do with it. Have a wonderful day.